Good day, my fellow nerds, and welcome back to the Corner of Remnant. I'm your host, Larissa, and I'm joined by Emperial Dawn.
Oh,
Hello. And it's been a while.
been out of practice. I apologise.
Yes, it was, well, we were just checking actually when our last Corner of Remnant stream was. It was the 8th of January last year. Hey, Drew! How are you?
Crazy.
Yes. So I was like, wow,
Oh
okay.
wow.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Oh well, I mean, there's been a lot of things RWBY wise over the past 2 years, and it's a lot more than I remember. As well, like, and it's just life and stuff. We're getting back to it now with the new volume and stuff, but
Yes.
like I'm not sure. Like we had the book, we had Ice Queendom, we had Arrowfell.
All of which I haven't watched or read yet.
I'll have to get into a bit of a Roman holiday spoiler for you, as far as this episode goes, or some of the theories go.
Yes.
So that's your own fault for having getting into it.
I know.
To be fair, I missed it myself. I remember when I watched the episode, I was like, oh, right, that person has a name from the book, but I completely don't remember reading that in the book, but apparently it was, so...
Yes.
We'll
I thought so. We'll get to that, yeah. Well, I know I saw someone on Twitter mention something about tea, having like the tea or teacup or something was a reference to something in the book. So I'm gonna try and read it over the week. Yeah, I'm gonna try and read it. I've got it. I just haven't had a chance to sit down and read it properly. So I want to try and get into reading that. So because it's
yeah, no, that's it. I mean, I only watched the second half of the English Ice Queendom dub like 2 days ago.
Yep.
Because people were sharing around Negative Blake, like Aaron's job of Negative Blake, which I hadn't heard of because I didn't get to that far when I was watching the English dub. I watched the full Japanese dub when it was coming out.
Yeah.
Sub or whatever. But then I saw clips of Aaron doing Negative Blake, and I'm like, okay, I need to go watch the rest.
Then you
of
go
this,
watch it. Yeah.
Whatever Aaron does after RWBY, which hopefully won't be years from now, hopefully. God, I hope she does villain stuff because I feel like I didn't realize she could do that very well.
Oh, exciting! Yeah.
Very well.
Yeah. Well, I was intending to do reactions to Ice Queendom, but it's just, well, I wasn't sure how it was going to go reaction wise. But I think I'm just going.
It's made by. Because it's made by the Japanese company, there's a bit more stringency probably over the copyright
exactly
rules and stuff.
Yeah, so it is on Crunchyroll, so I was actually thinking of actually just watching it, and not worrying about reactions, but just watching it. But yeah, I think I will, because it's just yeah, I don't want to mess around with Japanese companies and anime. They're very strict when it comes to posting their content on YouTube. Well, anyway.
Most people I know who do that just do their like intro and outros, and then have a link to set like their own site to do the actual reactions and stuff. I don't mess people who do that stuff. But
yeah,
anyway, we're here obviously we discuss Volume 9.
Yes, we are, and we're on a bit of a timeline because I've got puppy class after this, so
yes.
Unfortunately, just for the next few weeks, so I can only get in for a Saturday, so yeah, unfortunately. Which of course clashes with this, but you know.
So by all means, I guess first off, what do you think of the new intro?
I love the intro. The music's amazing. I haven't listened to the full music track. I'm actually going to do that before my reaction tomorrow. I'm going to actually record my reaction to the full track and post it during the week. So, but what I've heard and seen on the intro section, I love it. I think it's awesome. Casey nailed it. It's such a nice, awesome track. I sort of bop it all onto it when I first listened to it. Like, this is so good. What did you think of it?
Sure. It's really good, and it feels so because it's probably one of the first intros I've heard in a long time for RWBY that I didn't immediately go and try to compare it to the other ones. Like, it wasn't like I listened to it and was like, oh, is this my favorite or is this my second favorite or like that.
Yeah.
I think because it almost doesn't. I mean, obviously, we should mention, obviously, Jeff's retired in the interim between these two volumes, and we hope he's doing well, whatever he's up to these days. But obviously now Casey and her friend Martin Gonzalez are now running RWBY music with the full independence. They just basically do whatever they kind of want for the show and stuff. And it's so far it's been awesome stuff. And I think Alex as well is also no longer working on the score for the series. I believe. I believe Casey's brought in some of her own crew and stuff. I believe even people who worked on RFL are also now working on Peter Jones, I believe.
Get the credits
who worked on RFL, I believe, is also now working on the music as well. And it was really good. And I think the thing that struck me most about Inside is that it doesn't feel like an intro. It feels
just
more
like
it just feels like its own song. It doesn't.
Its own song. Yeah,
and it feels more like based around like RWBY and stuff, and like obviously the arc we're gonna go with her.
Yeah, sounds exciting.
Like internal struggles and emotional and all that stuff. So
yes,
it really sticks out in that regard a lot.
Here we go. Music by Casey Lee Williams and Martin Gonzalez.
Yes.
Score was by Martin Gonzalez, Martin De Lima, Peter Jones, and Matthew Wang.
Peter Jones, who I believe. Peter Jones, who I believe also worked on RFL. I believe.
Yeah.
I'm fairly certain about that. Because while the soundtrack for RFL, I don't think it has officially released yet. There's some really good stuff in that one. As well. They did a really good job with that. I played RFL. I think about.
I was
been after.
Consider it.
After Skull. I finished Skull. It's after I finished Skull and Violet, so I think that might have been just in December. I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking to possibly looking at playing it myself, but
yeah, it definitely has a bit of a difficulty curve if you're not familiar with that type of game.
Right. Yeah.
But once you get a hang of, it's definitely about learning the enemies and stuff. But I really enjoyed it. For what it was, for sure.
I've heard good things about it, so I definitely want to check it out at some point. And
the rest of the intro was just a trip, as I think this whole
an acid trip, especially at the end where Ruby's falling, and it's like, oh, this is so cool. My God, it's like an acid trip.
Yeah, I know Aaron said that it took her 2 weeks to do that full painting of the falling sequence and stuff.
Oh, it's so cool.
Awesome stuff. Speaking of which, we also finally have an official poster rather than just promotional work. We actually have a poster.
We
Not
do.
for sale yet. Hopefully that'll come eventually.
Yes. We do. Actually, I could probably quickly put it on because I have it saved here.
And it's the first poster too, not to be done by Iron Lee. We obviously got Aaron Wynn, who's obviously the main lead artist, has been, I believe, since at least Volume 7, I believe. And she's awesome. She's done great work in the past, and I always love when Aaron... And again, it's one of those things too where, because this volume's had such a long production cycle, I'd imagine a lot of people who probably had more free time and stuff now to do stuff like this. Like Aaron probably had the free time to do this kind of stuff, and
I thought I had the.
Obviously, I think we should have mentioned as well. We wish all the best to those people of Rooster Teeth and Rooster Teeth Animation, who are no longer working there, simply due to the long production cycle and the next volume not being greenlit yet. Unfortunately, the world works in certain ways, and that sucks. So make sure if you know any of the members of RWBY, past and present, make sure to give them all the love that you can. And support the show officially.
Absolutely.
If you can watch it through Crunchyroll, please do. Remember that it's great that you support us and stuff who do reactions, but try to watch the original through Crunchyroll first. Because without that, we might not get a Volume 10. And that's a possibility. And I don't want that to be a possibility. So, and I'd love to hear stories of all these people being rehired, hopefully. That'd be great. We're wishing all the best for RWBY's future, because... I'm of the belief that if you don't support them and the company and stuff, unfortunately, I don't think it'll get better unless they have the ability to do better. That's my opinion. And if you can, if you want to stand against RWBY and Rooster Teeth, for stuff that's come out over the past year and stuff, then I respect that opinion as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just want to get that out of the way.
Yeah, I totally understand where people may feel with what happened earlier. Last year, last year with Rooster Teeth and everything, absolutely. I always was going to support RWBY no matter what happened with that, because, I want to support everyone who's worked on the show, but also it's just special to me, and always was going to support that no matter what. I think having it on Crunchyroll too, I think is really good, because that way, like, if people don't want to support Rooster Teeth as such by paying for first membership, you can watch it on Crunchyroll instead. Unfortunately, it is behind a paywall, and I think it is going to remain behind a paywall. That's the only thing.
I believe it's going to be behind a paywall for a year until it goes on Rooster Teeth. I believe.
Because I had a look at some of the other. They've got all of RWBY episodes on there, for all volumes, but they're all behind a paywall. So yeah.
I mean, look.
Unfortunately.
I mean, it's clearly. I think Ice Queendom was a big indicator for them of where to go forward, because, because they put I believe they put Ice Queendom on both platforms. And if the contract with Crunchyroll paid them out more than their first memberships did for RWBY Ice Queendom, then it just makes sense to do the same thing for the rest of RWBY. If it makes them more money through that platform, then so be it. And and then it kind of avoids some of the Rooster Teeth negativity as well. So
yeah. For some reason, can't get the poster to be selected, so I don't know. Oh, I think because it's the file type of it, actually.
Ah, okay. Yeah, especially if you get it from like Twitter or something, it can tend to be a bit.
I think I might have fixed the problem. Actually,
but it's obviously it's a beautiful poster, obviously, inspired by obviously Alice in Wonderland and MC Escher's Stairs and all these other kind of different influences and stuff. Gorgeous piece of art.
It is amazing. I thought I might pop it in a little art spot that we have here if it kind of fits. But yeah, it's really cool. And I feel like definitely like what we saw in the intro with all the running around, looking around like different upside down and whatnot. It's very much, it's really cool. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, so the intro, so many like illusions and themes and vibes and stuff.
Yeah. So one thing I really liked too was at the start when it's showing them with old outfits, RWBY's is very different from the others, where they're all looking straight ahead, and RWBY's sort of looking downcast. We have the mystery girl, which very heavily alludes to Neo, especially at the end of the intro where it shows Neo and then it shows the girl on the beach in the same sort of pose. So it's very heavily alluded to, but
I think that's the kind of the big mystery for this so far, because there are definitely true trains of thought. So the intro would kind of have you assume that this is Neo to some degree, especially with that ending sequence with her on the beach compared to her in the portrait, in the same pose and stuff. And I don't remember if the book particularly goes into what Neo. So obviously with Neo, and obviously we've got to reference the Roman Holiday book as well, because that really goes into
go for it. You talk about
original,
that. Yeah,
it goes into her original story and stuff, and obviously this woman we've seen in the visuals is a woman of color, and I think now in the books is believed to be white, I believe, but that could obviously be, it's a book, so I mean that can be changed, that's fine. And in this, I've heard some people speculate that in this world, in the Ever After, there is no aura or semblance. At least we haven't seen an example of aura and semblance in the Ever After in the first episode, I believe. So there's the idea that this could be maybe Neo's true form.
Yep.
It's a possibility. But another strong theory is that this is the girl that fell through the world.
Yes.
Story that Ozpin referenced last year.
The fairy tale,
And the fairy tale is referenced again in the Roman Holiday book.
Right.
Except this time, the girl is named Alex.
Yep, with ALYX, is it?
ALYX, yes.
Yes, because I saw that
so
on
a lot of
Twitter.
people believe it is her. But again, we have illusions in the intro of Alex turning into RWBY like Neo would. So I'm not sure if that's intended to be the mystery, if this is going to be Neo or not.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, once we see her and she talks, it's probably a good indication that's not going to be Neo.
Yeah, well, that's it. There is at the start of the episode too, a female voice, and in the credits it mentions just female voice and voice actor. Their first name was Morgan, so I wondered if it is if she does talk. Very possible that she's going to be our mystery female voice we had at the start of the episode. And
that's a possibility. I've also seen possibilities of that being the armorer or the forger.
it could also be
Or
them
the
as
woman in the
well.
armor.
Yeah, Morgan.
I would say in terms of the
Laura?
voice.
Laura? Yeah.
Yeah. I would say in terms of the voice, I'd imagine it'd fit that aesthetic a bit better. Again, also has underlying vibes of like Salem or summer, or like there's a lot of. And that's something too, the intro doesn't really tease anything as far as Roman or Adam or Summer, which a lot of us speculated, which is good if they're not in here. But then again, we got the Neo teaser in Volume 6. So I'm not sure if they're trying to avoid it completely, or if that's just an example of the fandom kind of going into speculation.
Yeah, it really depends what this world is too, because a lot of people are thinking, like, if it is the afterlife, then yeah, we could definitely possibly see those characters who have passed away. Though it seems to be more alluding to it's the ever after, the fairy tale, which of course still we could get those characters, especially if we're going to have Ruby and John as well going through grief and what's happened in the past. We could possibly still see them maybe those other characters coming into it.
Yeah, and it's very possible. Maybe. And you mentioned there too with the whole concept, and it's again, there's a lot of things in this episode that I'm glad that the characters brought up. Like again, like Weiss and Yang were both of the opinion that maybe they were dead. Maybe this is some sort of afterlife.
Especially Yang thought that. Which makes sense because she's the one who
was going in that direction before Yang interrupted her and said, "No, that's exactly what I thought."
Yeah.
Until you guys showed up. But obviously Blake doesn't believe that, and which is interesting on two fronts of Blake, because one, as far as our characters go, Blake is the one who's the most well-read. She's the one who's most familiar with these fairy tales and stuff. She mentioned fairy tales back in the very third episode of the series with the Man of Two Souls example, which also alludes to Ozpin and stuff. So if anyone would be aware of this world or kind of have a sense of an idea of where they would be, I'm glad that Blake's the one stepping up.
Yep.
And Blake's also been a character that a lot of people have said has kind of been in the background for recent volumes. And in the intro as well, you see the sequence of the four girls and Alex. For now, we'll say Alex.
Yep.
You see them in the RWBY sequence, red, white, black, and yellow. But then for the next 2-3 examples, when the book flips over, it's Blake leading them. The next 3 sequences. So I like the idea that Blake is kind of the de facto leader in this world, while RWBY is obviously mentally perhaps not in the best position to be the leader at the moment.
Yeah,
I like that Blake's the one who's stepping up and being the leader. I really like that detail.
I like how she's sort of taking charge, and she's also the one who said at the end of the episode as well, said, okay, look, we need to get Chris and Rose back, we need to get Yang's arm back, and then we're going to sort out, where we are and how we can get out here. Like, she was taking charge, where usually RWBY would be in that role. So
I thought of a really dumb joke the other day.
Really?
Did we call it, instead of Ember Celica,
yes,
call it Arm Basilica?
No, I think I've always called it Ember Celica.
Because we never had a name for the arm, so we just call it Arm Basilica.
Arm Basilica. I don't really think I really ever thought of an actual proper name for it, just arm. But that's funny, Arm Basilica.
I was walking out of work the other day, and that popped into my head. I'm like, why the hell did I think that? Yeah, so we need to find Crescent Rose. We need to find Arm Basilica before we even have the idea of leaving the Ever After or going to the tree or whatever.
Exactly.
It's the best speculation.
Absolutely.
So I really like the I guess the reinforcement of maybe Blake's role in this season during this first episode as well, or even little things like Blake. I love that when we first see Blake, it's obviously with Weiss.
Yes.
Is that again, obviously over the seasons we've had certain pairings highlighted and stuff, and I always love the monochrome pairings. Always love when those two characters are together.
Yeah.
And there was something, I don't know why, just the shot of them walking through the jungle, just that very first shot. It's just the camera panning around them as they're walking through. I'm like, I've never ever had a shot like that in RWBY. It's such a simple shot, but it's just a really lovely shot to look at. And them talking about, how happy they found each other and that they're okay and stuff, and obviously Blake trying to ask, okay, well, I fell third or second, what else happened here?
Yeah,
Weiss being not wanting to talk about it, at least until everyone gets back together, because she doesn't want to have to go through that herself until...
Exactly.
She knows she's going to have to, but she doesn't want to do it unless it's once.
That was
but so she wants to make sure everyone's around.
Yeah, because there's quite a gap too for when because Ruby and Blake fell about the same time, and then till when Weiss fell, there was a lot happened in that gap, and of course Weiss doesn't know that John fell afterwards because none of them will know he's there. Yeah.
No, and that's the scariest thing for Jean. And obviously, Jean is what we saw in the intro, very isolated. He's always by himself, maybe except for apart from maybe a scene of Neo. But I think that's more just they're the two strangers in this world kind of thing.
That's true. Yeah, the two extras.
The two parallels of each other in this world, whereas the rest of the teams together, apart from getting Ruby falling behind. But they know Neo's here only because of Ruby, but they're not going to be looking for Jean.
No, I have no idea.
Which is really sad, and we're really curious where we're going to go with Jean this volume. And we obviously have the Knight in full armor with the helmets, which obviously could tie to the Forger. We have a really interesting scene of the intro where Jean's being, silhouetted by time.
Yes.
By the clocks, by Ozpin.
Yes.
In a sense.
Yes.
Which has a lot of implications. One, the fact that I'm sure Jean, third or fourth time now where he's not had enough time, where he hasn't been able to save someone because he was just too late.
He was just too late.
Pyrrha, Weiss, obviously at the end of, twice now.
Yeah.
You could also, Penny,
Penny, and because he didn't have enough time to heal her. Yeah.
Yeah, well, that as well, but also again, the one time he did have time to do something, he had to kill her, and how much that affects him and stuff, and again, I've always loved the theory. I've always loved the idea that Jean was a possible candidate for Ozpin. Not that he was going to be the next Ozpin ever, but just this idea of Ozpin saw a lot in him and thought, well, this is someone I could see transcending into in a future form. It's best to prepare this person just in case.
Yeah.
I've always liked that idea.
Yes.
So again, there could be ties to that possibility with the whole clock motifs in the intro. So yeah, Jean's a character I don't think we'll see much of in the volume, but I think whenever we do, it'll be really significant.
Yes, absolutely. It's going to be important, but not the main focus of the volume. Whereas the main focus is mainly Ruby with the girls, but also Neo, I think, is taking the main villain stance for this volume, which I love, and
it's
the Mad Hatter vibes too.
Sure, and it's always interesting with Neo because obviously. And by the way, we also recommend, if you've watched the first episode, to go onto the RT Animation YouTube channel and watch the little 8-minute, I think it was, maybe even less than that, just little wrap-up of the episode with with Barbara, Lindsay, Kerry, Aaron, Eddie.
Yeah, that was, I think it was called...
and Jack.
And Jack. So they had like an in-depth sort of like discussion and talk about the episode. And they mentioned there about it raining when Ruby got upset, which I thought was really interesting. And it was also raining when they, after Weiss was explaining what had happened too. I thought that was really nice.
I wanted to mention that because when they mentioned in that little snippet there, that the Ever After has been like it was a Monty idea. It was like Kerry and Miles and Monty idea back from like volume 2, volume 1, 2-esque, and I'd seen members of the crewbie mention that Ever After was mentioned by Kerry volume 6, 5-ish, and how everyone was excited to eventually get to that point and stuff. So I mentioned that because again, Neo is such a interesting character in RWBY's lore because Roman was meant to be a one-time character in the first episode.
Yeah, he was, but everyone loved him. Yeah, that's the link there to the in-depth.
So they kept him around. He ended up making it to volume 3. They wanted to give Monty, last second, had an idea for a Roman sidekick because he saw a Gender Bent cosplay. I believe this is all correct. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes, yeah, it sounds correct. I remember, yeah.
Then, rushed Neo into episode 4 of volume 2 just because he had the idea to do it. And then she's obviously evolved into this very, very popular character.
She's just such a fun character, and I'm really looking forward to being the Mad Hatter in this volume. I think it's going to be really good.
I'm just so interested of how significant of a role she's really going to play because, again, she wasn't. This wasn't. I doubt Neo was meant to be this important by the time we got to Ever After. So I'm curious again how much has changed and how much significance this will have because. I've obviously seen this. Yeah, I mentioned earlier the whole semblance and aura perhaps not being a present in this world because that's been more like a remnant thing.
Yep.
If that's not the case, could this just be Neo semblance in an insane degree. Could this be a world of overactive imagination? I doubt it, but that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Is this death? Is this afterlife? I've also thought, is this where everything that Ambrosius creates that disappears? Is this like the dump?
I didn't think of that. That's a very good point. Yeah, absolutely, it could be. Yeah. Because he did say to them, "Don't fall." You know.
Don't fall.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the most likely case is this is just the world between worlds. This is just. I don't like the idea of this as being like the gods' playroom kind of thing.
No.
Because again, I'm not of the mind that we need to bring the relics and bring the gods back. I don't think that's where we're actually going to go. I think that's kind of more a thread for Salem to follow, but I don't think that's what our heroes will do in the end. But could be wrong. But yeah, I do like the idea of this being everything in here was the relic of creation created at one point.
Yeah.
Eventually, it has to disappear. Which also means we might find 2 pennies down here, not just 1, which is also another.
Oh, that's a point. Yeah. It's cool. I really love how they're going with it. Yeah, very Alice in Wonderland-esque, which I love that we're going back to fairy tales because from, as they mentioned in that video as well, that the girls are all inspired by fairy tales. It's always been a really heavy sort of theme of the volumes and importance of fairy tales, and now they're actually looks like they're in a fairy tale. Like this world is basically a fairy tale, and I love that. And I really love how this volume is really going to focus on them and then coming to terms with what's happened, and hopefully like after all of this and they're able to return, hopefully they'll be more stronger and more prepared to face off against Salem. And I think that's really the end goal too of this volume.
Like they mentioned, like this is all about just like the RWBY show being about Team RWBY once again.
Yes, the opportunity to focus on them. Yeah. Without everything else going on in the world ending and all of that. We actually got time to focus.
Like they mentioned there, particularly like, you know, it's hard to have these character focused moments when the world is exploding around them, which again has been a criticism of the show before. If it's in Volume 8 when they're on the Weiss's Manor.
Yes.
I think they want to do more stuff like that, but again, the story doesn't necessarily allow that.
Yeah.
So they've taken this opportunity to kind of separate our characters and have these moments of, because again, as far as Team RWBY is concerned, while they want to get back home, Salem has 2 relics, Atlas has been destroyed, you know, what's the point? Why bother? You know, there's always this kind of like sadness, with RWBY especially.
Absolutely. I'm really, really looking forward to delving into RWBY's grief and coming to terms with everything. It's going to be really good. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah. Another little thing that I really liked that they mentioned in this episode, because I remember seeing someone on Twitter mention it, the idea of like resources in this world, because you know, in the show we have our characters fight and all this kind of stuff, but they're constantly surrounded by dust stores or ammunition, or they're going through towns and picking up supplies and stuff. We don't see it, but the implication is there that
and why said she was getting low on dust. Yep.
Exactly. So that's a big point, because again, like, you know, they're not gonna have all these, you know, they're gonna run out of, you know, again, like Yang, we didn't see use Ember Circle, she threw a stone instead. Maybe she's already out with dust because of the fight with the Jabberwocky. Walker, sorry.
Yes. Yeah, he's interesting.
Well, you know, and obviously RWBY doesn't have a weapon at all.
No.
So I'm really curious how they're going to try, if they're going to acknowledge that further.
I just noticed because I've got the episode up and I've just got it on the intro, and the shot where they're in the town. And they're walking through the town. I just noticed there's like they've got the little food market there and things, but the people are like, they look like the little plastic little men you get in like board games and things. Because I'm just looking at this and it's I didn't notice that. Yeah, I was just looking at that and I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
There's a town, so they could maybe they could resupply there if there is dust in this world. I guess that's possible.
Let me just.
Yeah, but I did not notice the cutouts. That's funny.
So yeah, if you have a look, I've just popped it up on the screen. So yeah, you can see like this
a unicorn there as well.
Yeah.
Smiley face and beard.
It's yeah. I just thought like the people there look like little the little markers you have for yeah, in a board game and things. But yeah, but also I was looking at that because like, you don't see anything that looks like could possibly be like dust or anything like that. Yeah. Yeah, and you see them through a few different environments as well. That's that. There's the very much Queen of Hearts sort of esque place with the knights and
Yeah, well, yeah, and we also see the
and the little mushroom
like
place as well. Yeah.
yeah,
Yes. Anyway.
a lot of crazy stuff.
A lot happening.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had I was trying to get to where the voice actors are. I had the name of that thingy. It was there it is. Yeah, the Jabberwocker.
Yeah, the Jabberwocker.
Jabberwocker. It was very Grimm-esque, but different. It was really interesting.
I also thought it was very Hound-esque.
Yeah, actually, yeah, very much like Hound. Yeah.
Which is why I like their reactions, almost as if they heard it and were like, "Oh my god, is this going to be another Hound?" But then they see it and it's like, "Oh no, this is something different." Again.
And I like it also sort of gave to me like Alien and Predator vibes.
Yeah.
But also very much how it was talking, that it was very robotic, android-esque as well. It's very interesting.
It's almost like it doesn't have an internal thought. It can't think to itself. It has to speak everything out loud.
Yes.
In a sense, which is very eerie. I'm curious if that's going to have a bigger play going forward. Like again, rather than fighting Grimm this volume, we're going to have this one creature that we're going to have to constantly fight.
Yep.
And then eventually defeat it towards the end. We also have, again, like you said, Neo possibly as a villain. We have this Queen of Hearts, this chest king queen.
Yes.
Ceramic creature. Then we have the
Forger, the cat as well. I'm really excited. I think we're going to get the cat next episode, so I'm excited for that.
Yeah, the cat could definitely be antagonistic for sure. I think everything in this world. I don't think we're going to have any other allies in this world other than ourselves. Which again brings the team closer together.
Yeah, well, we could have the armourer, the raccoon. They could possibly help.
I feel like the fact that we haven't seen the armourer, the silhouette, is either one because that's someone maybe like a Summer or something to that degree, or it's antagonistic because again, like we haven't. I mean, again, it could be a fake out. I guess you could be right. It could be also just be a fake out. So it's very possible. Again, there's so much speculation here.
There is, yeah, absolutely.
Crazy
I'm just,
I really,
yeah.
So one of the probably more outlandish things that happened in this episode, weirdly enough, was Weiss disappearing for Blake, of all things, which I really liked because it immediately reminds me of Volume 5, when they're all reunited once again, and, well, apart from Blake, ironically enough, and you just have RWBY go to Weiss, "You're not cheering loud enough."
Yes,
I feel like finally got through to her here, because she's just trying to be a supportive friend, which I really like that. It's almost out of character, but again, it's one of those things where, especially in the moment, we obviously Weiss is, but again, I think it's Weiss, trying to be, it also ties into Ice Queendom as well, because Ice Queendom's big, the non-negative Weiss is all about being the best teammate and stuff, because you can't be the leader.
Yeah.
So it also ties into that stuff as well. And again, it just goes to show that, man, Volume 9 Weiss and Volume 1 Weiss would not get along.
No.
Very different individuals.
Very different. I think also it was just also a way that with the animation they could add some of those like classic animation traits, which and the animators were just having fun. The volumes that are just I really liked it. I mean, this episode, even though there was a lot of seriousness going on, but also I just liked how they had a bit of that humor in there as well, and it was. I just really enjoyed this episode. It just went by too quickly. Like, what? That's it? It's finished?
Yeah, it was a really slow but fast episode.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a good way. I don't mean that in a bad way at all. Obviously, for people, I know you weren't included in this, but for a lot of us, we'd already seen half the episode.
Yes. Yeah. I wondered.
The two sets of teasers, which was basically the falling sequence we got at RTX.
Yep, and I had seen that. Yep.
And then we had basically the beach through to. Right before we see Weiss and Blake.
I wondered if it was that full scene with RWBY and Little.
Yes. Which we haven't even mentioned the mice yet.
Little. And I love the mice. They're so funny. I love them so much.
Yeah, I actually wasn't sure if we'd get more of them.
Yeah.
But obviously we have seen, like, it's a full village of all talking
mice.
Ice and stuff. So yeah, and they seem to be further way down towards the beach, which I would imagine it's one of those things where the closer you get to the tree, the bizarrer and kind of more illusion and deranged this world kind of is.
Yes.
So the beach, it's mostly just weird shells, weird birds, and weird mice, but that's pretty much the simple of it. But obviously we see Blake go through the brush, and you see the world out in front of them. It definitely gets crazier.
Yeah, and RWBY was in a loop as well, which I thought was really interesting too. Yeah. I think this world adapts to their emotions and state as well, which can work against them, like in that fact where RWBY was determined to get to the cliff, but she just wasn't getting there because the world was like, nope.
No, that's a very good thing, like you mentioned with the rain.
Yeah.
It's possible that the world definitely plays tricks on you and stuff in terms of like she's in a, and again, which is very. I think that might be even more of a meta thing. I mean, obviously it's a meta thing. The world's reacting to him, but the idea of like RWBY is a character that the whole show has definitely gone around in circles. Yes. She hasn't really evolved or changed too much. She's kind of adapted her personality to situations and stuff, and she's matured in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But in that sense of, again, she's kind of constantly going around in circles. She hasn't gone through that drastic change that Lindsay has obviously teased for years will get eventually, and obviously it seems like we're going to get at this volume. But again, very much in circles, going around and around and around court, not changing, being in the same place over and over again, which is very RWBY, for sure. Which obviously the intro teasers will change drastically.
Yeah. Well, I also really like the shot in the trailer where it had RWBY in her OG outfit and then current RWBY, and one of them asking, so what are you going to be? And it's sort of like, I thought, well, RWBY, like, Volume 1 RWBY was all like, I want to be the hero, save the people, all of that sort of thing. And now it's just like, are you really a hero with what you've gone through and what's happened, Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. It's definitely going to be the major vibe for RWBY's character this volume is, again, that reflection.
Yeah, is she really on the right path for what she's doing? Sort of thing.
Yeah, which is ever since she got to Atlas, she's questioning. She had the conversation with Crow, questioning if she was any better or worse than Ozpin. Obviously, she almost broke down in Volume 8, especially with the Hound and what that meant for Summer and stuff.
Yeah.
And, so she's definitely, like, this has been a long time coming, and especially since we got to Atlas, it's definitely been very apparent that something's going to happen. And again, this is the first time since Beacon, I would say, probably she's really failed. And obviously back at Beacon she was still a child. She still couldn't really manifest it all properly. She couldn't really interpret it all well. She just wanted to make sure Yang was okay, and she was just sad about Pyrrha, but failing again at the central location or whatever, the void you'd call it.
Yes.
And again, she, like Yang or Weiss was alluding to, could think she's dead at this point, so like what's the point? She's failed. Salem has 2 relics. And there's also, we've got to mention too, the possibility, is this possibly where the 3rd relic is, the Relic of Knowledge? That's a possibility.
That's a point, possibly.
People have alluded to, because Ozpin implied that it was hidden secret, which may even, possibility meaning the exit to this world might be back at Beacon, is a possibility as well, not necessarily to Vacuo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is another thing too. Like if they do escape, where will they escape?
Where will they end up? Yeah.
Where will they end up? They'll end up in Remnant somewhere, we'd assume. But again, where would that be?
In Remnant?
Yeah, and again, like there's no reason to be in Vacuo. They fell in Atlas.
But Atlas doesn't exist anymore, basically.
Yeah. So again, if the relic is here, it makes sense that maybe where they end up is back at Beacon. Then again, how long will it then take for us to tie back things up to Vacuo next volume or the volume after? So, really depends. Because again, like is the end goal of this season just to escape here? But I can't help but think, okay, where will we escape to? Will we just end up in Vacuo because? I hope there's a bit more reasoning to it.
I think, your thoughts with the relic, I really like that idea. And it makes sense because the relics were kept and in the room they were in, it definitely wasn't Remnant. Like, it was some sort of separate reality.
There you go. Yeah, like Beacon's portal to the other realm could be this ever after.
Yep.
It's a possibility.
And hopefully, perhaps, because the door needs to be opened by Maiden, but that's on the outside, not necessarily the inside.
But again, we saw what the assumed vault of Beacon. There didn't seem to be a door. I think in some of the concept art you can see behind Amber, it looks like it could be like a massive door blending into
It may
behind
not be
there.
obvious where the door is. Yeah.
Yeah, unlike Pistral's and Atlas's. It's a possibility as well. Another thing I really liked, especially was when they were fighting with the Jabberwocker.
Yes.
They obviously RWBY doesn't have a weapon, so she doesn't really know. She stays back and stuff. The other three kind of come in together. And I like the fact that again it's kind of like what's important right now. The Jabberwocker, we'll reunite in a second. And it runs off and stuff because it's smart enough to know, okay, retreat.
Yes, return.
And I like the fact that Weiss and Blake run off to make sure the perimeter is secure first.
Yes.
Like, they don't immediately go to Yang, they go off and make sure the Jabberwocker is actually gone and stuff. That was a nice little detail.
Yeah, I like that too. Yeah, well, whereas RWBY came up to Yang, of course, yeah.
RWBY, we've got the RWBY and Yang moment. Obviously, Yang's upset because obviously if they're here, that means they failed, that means they're dead as far as Yang.
Yeah, you're not meant to be here. Like, oh.
Yeah, that was a really good, detail. And obviously, once everything's safe and secure, Blake obviously comes in, obviously, because he was so distraught after what Neo did and stuff. So they get that nice little.
I love that Harley with Blake and Yang. Like, oh, they're like, it was so nice.
Yes, it just immediately undercut by Weiss realizing, okay, everyone's here.
Everyone's here, and then Yang's like, what happened? It must have been really bad, and that's when Weiss is like, yeah.
Because and Weiss tried so hard at the end of Volume 8. Like she had no chance against Cinder really, but she tried.
She was holding off Cinder off, but yeah.
Yeah, and obviously, what happened to Penny and all that stuff, and again, RWBY tried so hard,
they all tried so hard
twice. I don't know, but I think from Penny's perspective, like she thinks she couldn't save Penny twice.
Yeah,
went to all that effort, and again, like she even mentions in the vault, because I just saw it on Twitter, I think today. In the vault, she mentions we want to keep her around longer than that.
Yes.
Referring to like creating the new Penny versus creating the central location and stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously she failed, and that just was the last straw, and she just kind of fainted.
And especially this time, like, it's permanent, like, Penny was made human, so, like, and it was just so innocent, and, I think RWBY's going to come to the realization that, Penny's gone.
I mean, I still always like I know a lot of people would say that, they went to a lot of effort for no reason, or why would this kill off Penny again and stuff, but I always like the idea of, at the very least, certain, because of what we know from Ozpin and stuff, that Penny now gets an afterlife, whatever that is.
Yeah.
She gets that. We didn't know she got that as an android and stuff, but we know, obviously, she was in the Void with Winter, which is the same Void that Ozma and the God of Light were in, and obviously Ozma said then, I want to return to the afterlife, which would imply there is an afterlife of some sort. There is,
yeah.
In this world, at least, so that means Penny would get that as well, which I always like, just personally, I'd always like that little detail of at least their efforts didn't go to complete waste.
And she had control over her life and her choice this time.
Had a choice. And again, in the end, she had a choice.
She had a choice,
Cinder didn't give her much of a choice, but in the end, she had the choice.
She was the one who made that decision, and I think, like, Penny, it's definitely going to be really important to RWBY's character, absolutely. That short period where RWBY was able to be with Penny again, and then eventually, of course, making her human, like, it's going to be very important to what RWBY's going to be going through with this volume. So it has a purpose.
And again, we saw in the trailer as well. Obviously, she will find one of her swords.
Yeah, it was swords, or I wasn't sure if it was her sword or a bit of glass or something, but yeah.
I do believe it's her maiden swords. It's the sword she's which is a little interesting, because I'm like, would that still really, or would that disappear when she dies, the maiden power? So that I'm not.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, the weapons seem to have made their way down, but yeah, you're right, whether it disappears or if it's actually made.
So I don't know if that's an oversight, or if that's just maybe us comparing the Relic of Creation too much, because obviously the Relic of Creation would have stuff disappear, but maybe that's not necessarily. Okay, I guess if she just made it out of magic. Well, I guess Ozpin has made stuff of magic and hasn't disappeared when he reincarnated and stuff. So I guess that maybe he's just overthinking.
Yeah, don't know. It'll be interesting if they do. Unless it's just. I don't
think we'll get anything as grim, pun intended, as seeing the body or anything like that. I think we'll just see
No.
the sword. I think that'll be enough. You know,
Yeah.
the show isn't that dark.
Yeah, I don't think we'll get her
But
body.
if we did, that's fine by me.
And then
Still-
all the
still
other
fine.
people who fell as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's definitely. I think that might be. I don't know if we'll actually get that will be addressed. I feel like that might
Yeah.
just be. If it does, but it's not.
Dunno.
If that doesn't get addressed, I wouldn't be surprised.
I think also that there might be sort of like some sort of requirement to get through into this fairy tale as such as well. So, yeah, don't know. Like, it sort of feels to me like you're there because you're meant to be there, sort of thing. Yeah, I don't know. Oh, one thing I want to mention too before I forget.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, in the intro near the end when Ruby's falling, I just love that bit. But it's got a portrait there of Alex, but also in the shadow of Alex is a boy with glasses, which I thought was really interesting, which made me think a bit
Really? I
of
don't know if
Oscar Osbourne. Yeah, it's really. It was just when I was just going frame by frame, you know, looking at it, I'm like, oh, there's yeah. If I get that back up here.
Yeah, we also have the little scene of Neo with the group of shadows behind her.
Yes, there's also that.
She's
Which, yeah.
You're gonna play some sort of like Oh yeah, there is a boy with glasses behind. Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's. Yeah, I'm not sure what.
Which
that
is
would be.
interesting. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, so obviously we've got Neo. So obviously Neo is going to kind of, you know, somehow, some way take some sort of charge or authority here.
Yes. So
Some way
she's
to
definitely
have some
taken
sort
the
of-
role of the Mad Hatter, which I've seen a lot of people say. And Alex
But she
herself has like a little rabbit motif. So people are thinking maybe she's meant to be like the White Rabbit of Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, I was in Jean as well. Also,
Yeah.
maybe compared to being the White because obviously the rabbit motif has always been with Jean with Pumpkin Pete.
Yes.
There's also a tie-in with that. Not sure. I'm not that familiar with Alice in Wonderland's story particularly, so
So
I
yeah,
might not
it's
catch
been
on
a
so much
while
of the
since I
details.
saw one. Yeah, because I just got it up here. Where she's on the beach, so you can see on her ribbon belt thing, there's a rabbit, but also her bow too. Also looks almost like rabbit ears.
Yeah.
I love her
interesting, yeah,
design overall. It's really pretty. I like it.
Yeah, it reminds me of the kind of the designs of the stepsisters, Cinder's
Yes.
stepsisters.
And she's
It has
got a
that very kind of
bandage.
old school.
Looks like a rattle
design.
bandage on her right leg too, which is interesting.
Yeah, she does too. Yeah, I'm just looking at that. There you go.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of like Oscar's raps. Then he had.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a big question: is if this is the girl who fell through the world and it's a fairy tale. You know, how old is the fairy tale? You know, assuming that she hasn't aged when she fell,
Yes.
which I think is a fair assumption.
And how much time's going to be
Yeah,
take
whatever.
place too? Because sounds like Yang's been there for a bit with what we've heard of what she's gone through so far. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess that's true. I mean, I guess realistically, Ruby and Yang probably, Ruby and Blake would have only felled maybe like a few minutes. Maybe if you know, don't take it so literally, could be maybe an hour of fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, we didn't have to see that, but obviously, you know, just to stretch it out, kind of thing. And again, how did time work in the void as well? Like, you know.
yeah,
I've definitely had the idea and maybe a little bit of fear of like if we do get to return to our real world, how much time
how much
has
time's actually passed?
You know,
Yeah,
I don't particularly want to come back and Oscar's grown up or, you know, Ren and Nora are grown up. I don't really want that, but we'll see if they can go
I'm
that direction. and
thinking
stuff.
it'll probably be opposite. I'm thinking it's going to be no time's passed.
No
Because-
time at all. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Oh,
otherwise they're going to miss
I
events
prefer
in Salem and all of that. So I think when they get out of here, it's going to be like no time's passed at all.
I can just imagine though Oscar from seeing Ruby where he last saw her to where he'll next see her, and like for him no time has passed, but for Ruby it's been like not years, but yeah, like a very
A
long
long
time.
time,
And,
yeah.
like, shit's happened. It's like but I haven't seen, but like it's only been a few days. Shit's
Yeah.
happened.
It could be like the Lion Witch in the wardrobe. So when they went in, yeah, and they came back
age
out
in that
they'll-
world, but then
yeah.
they return.
when they return, they'll back to their
age they
usual
originally went
selves.
into.
Yeah,
That's very possibility. That's also another good point. Again, like like the Lion Witch in the wardrobe could be a bit of an influence as well. Not that that's as much of a fairy tale, but that definitely has similar motifs.
it's in a way it's a
Wonderland.
fairy tale. But yeah,
I suppose so. I guess everything is a story or a fairy tale if you interpret it a certain way. I suppose.
but yeah.
Yeah. I think towards wrapping up.
Yes, we will.
I was just going to mention a few things from the trailer.
Yes.
Because we obviously have, like the intro and the intro and the music obviously has some dark things, but nothing's too in your face. Especially as far as we were mentioning some of the more deeper stuff, like the Romans or your Adams or your Summers and that kind of stuff. Whereas the trailer, I feel like, had more of a push towards that stuff. Yes, you have like Yang on this drawbridge thing, and she seems really concerned. You have Blake in a similar sense. Like there are a few different scenes and motifs in the trailer that I think like, there's going to be some, obviously with the voiceover as well, kind of taunting them and like who you're going to be, and like and this is a girl who has serious problems and stuff.
Yeah.
Which was at the start of this episode. So yeah, I do hope we get into some deeper stuff as far as like our characters are concerned. Like like the whole world playing tricks on them.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Dealing with their inner problem, not stuff, but also the group as a whole as well. But I think we will get some individual time later in the volume with our characters.
I think it's going to be a lot of character development. It's which we love. We love all that sort of thing with character 100%. Development. And just building on their relationships and being together. Though, yes, I agree that at some point they're going to get separated.
Do you think, just one last question before we wrap up, do you think we'll find Crescent Rose before the end of the volume? I think that'll be like the final thing we get at the end of the volume, is that RWBY finally finds Crescent Rose.
Yeah.
Oh, what if?
What if, yeah.
What if Crescent Rose, in this case, is the RWBY slippers?
Oh yeah, it could be.
When RWBY finds Crescent Rose, that's when they all return home.
Yeah, possibly.
That's the... I hate the fact that my mum went to Harry Potter for a lot of reasons. Well, I hate the fact that happened. But it's like the port key.
The port key, yeah.
Get it, and everything returns to normal. It's like this is a world that is designed to be a challenge.
Yes.
The completion of the challenge is getting Crescent Rose back.
Absolutely, because RWBY...
by doing that, it resets everything and kind of fixes everything and sends them back to the world, kind of thing. Like, this world is just a mental challenge for RWBY. Just happens to be that other characters are in here as well, like Blake and Yang, all that kind of stuff.
We saw Crescent Rose a lot in the intro, and even though like in previous intros we have seen Crescent Rose, I just also do feel like it is going to be an important part of this, and I don't see her have it in those little shots in the intro where she's walking.
I don't know. And also like another detail too is that the Volume 8 intro ends with Crescent Rose by itself.
Yes.
Which is obviously predicting like this and like how she loses Crescent Rose. I just always thought that, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, we see it a lot in the intro, but it looks like because I'm just having a look over those scenes. So Yang's got her arm back, though you don't see Weiss and Blake's weapons though. Yeah, they're not shown there, but RWBY definitely doesn't have Crescent Rose in those shots. And I think, it's seeing Crescent Rose just before that shot too is very alluding to the fact, I think, searching for Crescent Rose. And you may be right, it may be what they need to leave. Well, they wouldn't want to leave without it, but...
I mean, if we're going to tie into, like, Wizard of Oz, this as well. Like, obviously it's Alice in Wonderland, but obviously Wizard of Oz, and, like, I know that Theodore, the headmaster in Vale, is Dorothy. He has like RWBY gloves and stuff, but like it also could be tying into RWBY, who's also been Dorothy, and again it's also the idea of like the Brotherhood, Ozpin's Brotherhood, or like the original Wizard of Oz cast, but then Team RWBY becomes the next Wizard of Oz cast, so we need to have a new Scarecrow, a new Tin Man, like Yang being Tin Man, and all that, RWBY being Dorothy, and all this kind of stuff. So it's a crazy intro volume. I'm so happy that we're going to get, and again, 10 episodes, shorter season. I'm fine with that. I'm glad we can get just 10 weeks of RWBY. And then see where we go from there. Hopefully we get more. But I'm loving what we're going to get, and really excited for what's to come.
Me too. Sure. I'm super excited for it. I think in episode 2 we're going to be getting the cat. Hopefully seeing a few more of the characters. Maybe I don't think we'll see Alex or Neo, but maybe. But yeah, I think it'll be really good.
I'm just thinking back to, I think it was Volume 6, Episode 2. We got a lot of we got Cinder surviving the fall and stuff.
Yes.
So I feel like with Episode 2 we could get a few flashes to other characters and stuff.
Yeah, because this episode was definitely focused on the girls. Yeah.
We'll get an introduction to the other characters next week. But I think that's it. So I just want to thank everyone who's watched this. Whether you're watching live, you're watching the VOD on Twitch or YouTube and stuff. thank you all for watching. Me and Larissa love just kind of talking about RWBY with each other, but we love everyone else to get involved and stuff. So
comment
just
below
thank you,
any
everyone.
questions you have.
Very happy.
Yes, yeah. Don't mention anything about episode 2, just in case. Well, of course, when this goes up on YouTube, it's going to be 24 hours after the live stream, and the episode will be out. So don't talk about episode 2 in the comments, but definitely any theories, ideas that you have for the volume based on what we know currently with the intro, trailer, and episode 1. And if you want to watch these live, I'll have the details in the description too. If you want to watch it live on Twitch and you're watching it currently on YouTube. But yeah, we're going to be streaming it weekly. These will be coming out weekly. RWBY season is back. There's going to be a lot of RWBY content suddenly on my YouTube, but it hasn't been for over a year. So
also, I already got an alternate verse posted because they released the full inside track. So if you want to see the intro, but with the other side of the verse from inside, you can do that now on Emperial Dawn YouTube channel. As I also do fan art a lot of the time. I haven't been doing it so far. This volume, just inspiration wise, I got used to drawing whatever I wanted over the past 2 years. Now that I have inspiration, now all of a sudden it's like froze me, it's like stalled me and stuff. So hopefully I'll get to some art and stuff. But I want to enjoy RWBY, especially because again I don't know how much more RWBY going to get going forward. So I really just kind of want to enjoy it and not treat it as work or a job or stress or anything like that. So
if you feel inspired,
I'm just trying to enjoy it. But I love doing this. I love discussing it. I love looking forward to discussing this every single week. I really do.
I'm glad it's back. It's been too long. But we better wrap it up there, unfortunately. Also too, I'll just mention as well that our friends Corey and Caden, Queenoob and Corey and Smurf, they're going to be doing their RWBY podcast, the Boopcast, and that's also going to be streamed live. And I'm not sure if they're posted on YouTube or not, but it'll definitely be on Caden's. I'll just pop that in here. On Caden's Twitch channel too, so you want to watch that as well. And they go for a bit longer than us and talk about I put Boopcast, God, it's the Boopcast, but it's on their channel. God, I can't type. Slash Queenoob with 3 E's. There we go. It's on their Twitch. Yeah. So make sure you check that out as well. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for hanging out. It's been good. And we'll see you again next Saturday for discussing episode 2. Exciting. Oh, there's the bot posting. There we go. I also just mentioned to those right at the end of this as well. I have changed my name. So now Nerd of Oz and Nerds of Oz. Oh, we're going to have a puppy cameo. Are you coming in here, miss? Come here. You want to say hello? We're about to go to puppy class.
My cat scratching at the door.
Oh, you cuddles. You just woke up, huh? Don't bite my face. Thank you. This is Ellie. And of course this was brought to us by the Great One.
Oh.
The Great One. Just being careful of Ellie because Ellie's like toy. The Great One.
But thank you everyone, and hopefully we'll see you guys next week.
Yes, thank you all for watching. We'll catch you all next time. Bye.